It's a November morning in the Wye Valley. Not too cold now, I've got the sun on me thankfully, but it's certainly getting brisk. And I am weeding out an old gravel bed that, though it's got membrane underneath, because of the age and the weeds involved, it's got, well, I think the term rewilding could certainly be used for this. The surrounding weeds of the countryside have colonised. They've managed to bring in soil as well somehow, so it's actually just turned into a little growing medium for everything. Couch grass, wild strawberry, buttercup and various other creeping weeds. It's a slow process because I've got to get it all done properly or else they will just come back. So I'm down on my hands and knees. I've got my kneeling mat, a very kind gift from my brother because he understands what it's like. And yeah, so I got the sun on my back at last, and I'm slowly renovating all this. Now in places you can't even see the gravel, it's hidden so much by weeds and moss and all that, so all that needs to come out. It's a slow process. It basically involves raking off as much of the gravel as I can without disturbing the weeds too much, then going through by hand and pulling out what weeds I can, and back over with the rake to take off the next layer of gravel that I've now exposed, especially once I've got all that moss out the way. Then going through either by hand again or with a hoe or with a small hand fork, taking out what I can. The difficulty being that in some places the weeds have gone through the membrane and have rooted underneath. Really, it's doing the best job you can in the knowledge that if you can just get it clear, especially at this time of year, now the weeds are slowing down, then I can relayer with fresh gravel, really nice and thick, and I'll be able to see any weeds that are coming back up, and every time they come up, take them out again, or at least take them off. You might not be able to get the roots out, but you will over time be able to use up all that weed's resources, and eventually it'll die off. Well, hopefully, so that's the theory. So until then, I gotta go along here. Now the bed is probably about 4, well, depends. At the widest point about 5 meters wide, at the narrowest point probably about 2.5 by about, oh lord, about 20 meters. It's a long one, and I've so far done about 5 meters of that. Actually it's probably more than 20, oh no, I don't know, probably a bit more than 20 meters. Now, I don't know if you can see all this, that's all rosemary hedge in there, which has, well, grown out of shape and wasn't really the right plant anyway for the hedging that was there. So that all needs taken out. That needs to then get replaced with just under 100 yew, so I can do the topiary low hedging again, renovate the roses in the middle, And then these would be very simple beds of clean gravel, dark yew hedges, and standard white roses. Though the client thinks that one of the roses is a red one, but she's not sure which one. Now, the main issue I'm finding with this actually is that about 2 weeks ago I had a bit of a bad fall off a climbing wall. I was practicing an overhang. It was only low, and I think I fell about 2 foot, but because it was so close to the ground I wasn't actually able to fall properly, and it was so sudden. I ended up falling, still holding onto the hold with one arm, and I landed on my backside, twisted my hips, and I've taken about 2 weeks to recover from that. So I'm 38 now, and I have to admit I don't bounce as well as I used to, and I don't recover as fast as I used to. Now, when I started gardening, doing my apprenticeship over 20 years ago, all the old gardeners there had backache, and it just seemed to be something that came with the job. You just accepted it, and being of the slightly taller persuasion that I am, 6'2" thereabouts, I always just assumed it was something that I'd have, and you just live with it the best you can. Always make sure you lift properly, bend with your knees and all that, and I just got on with it. And it was only this year, after I started climbing and yoga, that I realised that actually, with the right exercises and the right back strengthening stretches, I was able to get rid of my backache completely. So apparently it's not something you have to live with, not something that is expected or an automatic assumption. It's just a case of looking after your body. Now, as I say, I'm 38 now, and my body certainly doesn't recover at the speed it used to. Which is why it's even more important for me to look after it. Hence the kneeling mat and the extra layers of clothing to keep my back warm, because those drafts, they really do blow sometimes. If you can keep your back warm, your neck warm, and stop any drafts, then that goes a long way. So I also realised that when I say drafts, they sound a little bit like giraffes. And that's obviously a completely different meaning. Sorry, just a little side note there. So anyway, yeah, if you've got backache or any other problem, I could heartily recommend investing a bit of time into yoga. And actually, there's some excellent ones on YouTube. You don't even have to find a yoga class if you haven't got the time or the money. As long as you keep at it, it's not too bad. But look after your bodies, that's the main thing. As it is, I've got a whole day ahead. I think it's about 10:30 now, so that gives me, oh, was it 4, 6, 6.5 hours left of basically crawling around on my knees weeding, so I am gonna have to do some good stretching later. I suspect if I get a chance I might also hit the climbing wall. Hopefully I won't hit the mats this time. Other than that, it's a nice day. The cold and the winter have returned. We had a brief period of sun, but now it appears to be returning to how it should be for mid-end of November. Interestingly, they're talking about this winter, as the reports I've heard so far, long-term forecasts, it being the coldest winter in 8 years. And I think, oh, sounds very dread, but coldest winter in 8 years, that's 2010, which was a cold winter. I know we had snow then as well, because that was the first winter of my eldest. But yeah, coldest winter in 8 years, well, that's alright. As I say, I've been gardening for over 20 years. And as I've heard various people say, and as the old adage that I live by goes, no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Hence why I invested in gloves, tweed jacket, and body warmer, and all the other accoutrements, so that at least I'm pretty waterproof and pretty warm, pretty windproof. So we'll see what this winter brings, see what this day brings, see what this year brings. Most of all, see what this garden brings. I'll make sure I do an update so you can see how this bed develops. But as I say, I'm only about a quarter of the way, if that, through it. So it could be a while until this is done. So I have got a load of yew trees coming soon, so they'll all need healing in for the moment. And a home found for about 80 plus rosemaries, depending on how well they come out, of course. I don't like to throw away plants, especially if they're usable. Anyway, I should probably get on with the day. I'll let you get on with yours. Have a wonderful November day ahead, and I'll no doubt catch you again soon. Bye.